Yo, what is up, guys? It's Cohen back here again tonight with another episode of After the Buzzer. We've got two games to go over tonight, which is a pretty low amount of games, but being that they are play-in, kind of like playoff games, I figured I'd make an episode just to talk about those two, so this will probably be a shorter one, but I still wanted to get that content out to y'all because I think there's a lot to talk about here, setting up a potential playoff matchup, and a playoff matchup is now set in stone out there in the Eastern Conference. Two games, like I said in my video earlier today, I really thought these were going to be really good games, and they really weren't. These were two blowout games by the end of them. Hornets-Pacers was a blowout kind of from the start. I'll talk about that game first, but Wizards-Celtics started really close. It was a 2-point game, I believe, at halftime, with the Wizards going up into the half. I think they were up 54-52, if I remember correctly. And then Jayson Tatum happened in that third quarter, and it kind of just all fell apart for the Wizards, and the Celtics ended up winning by 18 points. But like I said, first we're going to talk about the Hornets-Pacers game. This one was really just, and kind of both of these games were just teams that showed up ready to face the spotlight and teams that just were not ready to play. In terms of the Hornets and the Pacers beating them by 27 points. They were up like 32, I think, at one point in this game, maybe even more than that. It was bad. The Hornets, obviously missing Gordon Hayward, one of their best players, really probably would have helped them out, but I don't know if even he helped save them in this game. LaMelo didn't play well. Terry Rozier didn't play well. He picked it up towards the end of the game. Really, the only player that played well for the Hornets in this game was Cody Zeller, who did a pretty good job. He was pretty efficient offensively. He ended up with 17 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. The second highest score for them. Miles Bridges also kind of started struggling, but he ended up having a solid game with 23, 8, and 4 in 37 minutes. It was just they couldn't do anything to stop the Pacers tonight. Specifically, Doug McDermott with 16 points in that first quarter ended up with 21 points, but that was enough to kind of put the game out of reach. It was like a 16-point game going into the second quarter, and just by the time the half rolled around, it was just over. 16 and 8 for Malcolm Brogdon. Huge boost for the Pacers getting him back, and not only getting him back, but he only had to play 21 minutes in this game. One of their best players, probably their second best player, only having to play 21 minutes is a huge deal. Domantas Sabonis played 33 with 14, 21 rebounds and 9 assists. Cody Zeller kind of had him in jail for a lot of this game, but towards the end, Sabonis really put it together, and he just really could not be stopped on the boards, especially grabbing a ton of them for the Pacers, just making sure that the Hornets never had the opportunity to take more than one shot on most possessions. T.J. McConnell was 17, 5, and 3, 14 for Kalon Martin, 14 for Goga Batadze, with also 10 rebounds. It was just, the Pacers were all over this game. The Pacers looked like they came out ready and like this was a playoff game. This Pacers team has a ton of playoff experience. Domantas Sabonis has been there. Malcolm Brogdon has been there before. T.J. McConnell has been there before. All these different guys have been there before. And the Hornets just looked shell-shocked by the moment. They're a very young team, and their age really showed in this one. Like I said, LaMelo did not play well. Terry Rozier, who does have pretty decent playoff experience, he didn't even really show up. And he was a guy, I thought Terry Rozier was going to come into this game and drop like 40. This felt like a moment that Terry Rozier had been building up to all season, and with the potential to secure a matchup against either the Wizards or the Celtics, I thought he was going to take advantage of the moment, and he kind of just didn't. The Pacers did a great job of forcing him to take tough shots. They have a lot of great guard defenders, and LaMelo and Terry Rozier just looked human. For two players that have looked pretty unstoppable a lot of this season, they looked human tonight. And I mean, I don't blame the Hornets for losing this game. I did pick them. You will also talk about the Celtics-Wizards game where I picked the Wizards, and they also lost, so I'm 0 for 2 so far in my play-in tournament picks. But the reason I picked the Hornets was because Karis LeVert was out, and in the combination of him being out, TJ Warren, and the fact that this Pacers team has kind of just been reeling for the better half of the season. A lot of stories coming out about chemistry issues. It just felt like the Pacers were just like begging to end the season. Like it felt like this was going to be it for them. The Hornets, young, hungry. I thought they were going to come out and take it, and they just didn't. Credit to the Pacers. Like I said, they really just shut everything that Charlotte tried to do down. Putting up 144 points is no easy task, especially when you don't have a Karis LeVert who's averaging around 21 points per game on the season. It's a big task to replicate that offensive production, and the Pacers kind of just did it seamlessly. I was very impressed by them tonight. It's going to be interesting. I don't know who's going to win their matchup against now the Washington Wizards, who, as I'm recording this video, the game just ended, losing to the Boston Celtics, which is the game that I'll move more into now. But first, I want to say shout out to the Hornets. They did become one of my favorite teams to watch all season. They have a really bright future. I want to drop a video talking about the Hornets' future. I've been meaning to for a while. And I think as soon as the offseason rolls around and I talk about all these different teams, I want to talk about the Charlotte Hornets and their really young core, how excited I am for them, and why Hornets fans should be super excited. They're a team that a lot of people did not expect to even make this play-in tournament. Never mind a team that a lot of people thought could win this play-in game. They really exceeded everyone's expectations this season, and I think they're going to continue to do so. I think they're going to be more on people's radar now, but I don't think people understand just how good this core has the potential to be. I see it because, like I said, I've watched a lot of their games this season, and I hope the Charlotte Hornets start to get more national recognition as one of those really fun, up-and-coming young teams, and I think they will, mainly because LaMelo Ball is on the roster. He had a great season, potential Rookie of the Year. We'll see between him and Anthony Edwards, but all in all, shout out to the Hornets on a great season. And once again, shout out to the Pacers for making me and everyone who picked against them pay. They look tough. And Domantas Sabonis is really good. McConnell's really good. Brogdon's really good. They really showed their potential tonight that I've saw in them all season. This is a team that has a ton of talent. They just have not put it together. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. But even when they've been healthy, they haven't quite put that talent together. And I'm hopeful that maybe even if they lose this next game, or even if they go into the playoffs and get swept, they find some kind of momentum here with this roster, with these guys, and they find the way to kind of put it back together, because I like this Pacers team. They're really fun to watch when they are not playing, when they're playing better basketball, when they're all healthy. I think they have the potential to be really, really good and fun. They've just got to find that again. And maybe this is the start of something big. Maybe this is them turning it around, making this potential playoff run at the end of the season. Who knows? Now heading into the other game, like I said, Wizards Celtics, with the Celtics winning 118-100. Also, a quick thing, I want to say that I don't know why these aren't playoff stats. I know this isn't technically the playoffs, but I feel like these should count as playoff stats. Like, these don't count for anything. So, for example, Jayson Tatum, who put up 50 in this game, those points don't go anywhere. They don't go to his playoff stats. They don't go to his regular season stats. Nothing happens to them, which I think is dumb. But that aside, the Celtics, this was a game where I said earlier in today's video, if you did not go watch my play and preview video, go ahead and watch that if you want to see a preview. Even though these two first games happened, I still talked about the second two games as well. So if you want to see my thoughts on those before they happen, go check out that video. I dropped it earlier today, so it should be right there on my channel. But in that video, I said that Jayson Tatum, for the Celtics to win this game, would have to be the best player on the court by far tonight. Without Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker's been kind of inconsistent. I thought Kemba Walker was going to have a solid game, but I knew that Jayson Tatum was going to have a big, big game tonight for the Celtics to pull this one out. And that's exactly what he did, because he continues to prove me wrong. Every time I think I figure out Jayson Tatum, he continues to do something great. 50-point performance tonight. That's incredible. People are going to talk about how much he went to the free throw line. That's stupid. Don't talk about that, because the reason he went to the free throw line was because the Wizards had to hack him because they couldn't stop him. Tatum was incredible. He was by far the best player on the court tonight. It wasn't even close. And he did it as he typically does, with just a variety of shots, mid-range shots, driving to the basket, three-pointer, step back, really difficult fadeaway mid-range shots, turnaround mid-ranges. He just did absolutely everything. He had some really clutch rebounds as well. He just did it all. 4 assists as well to throw in with 50 points, 8 rebounds. He was a monster, and this was a great, great game from him. He's probably going to be an MVP level player very, very soon. Maybe even next season. I've talked about this before in a video when I talked about Jayson Tatum, but I do think if the Celtics are able to return to like that top seed level that they have been in a couple years prior, Jayson Tatum is a prime candidate to win MVP in the next 2, 3, and however many seasons, because he's not going to slow down anytime soon. He's very young still. Even though Marv Albert tonight said that Bradley Beal was younger than Jayson Tatum, that is not true. And Tatum is much younger, and he has the potential to really grow. And he's become a force on both sides of the ball. He had one possession tonight where Russell Westbrook just blew past his defender, and it looked like a clean look at the basket. But Jayson Tatum has so much length, and he is just this massive wingspan, and he was able to deter a shot that, as a Thunder fan and a Westbrook fan, I've seen Russ make a billion times, just over and over. It's easy for him, but Tatum made it really difficult because he got in great position, didn't foul, and used his length to bother the shot. And that was just kind of a microcosm of what this game was. Tatum stepped up in every single way he needed to for the Celtics to win and secure them a date against the Brooklyn Nets, which is, the Celtics fans were chanting, "We want Brooklyn." I promise you, Celtics fans, you do not want Brooklyn. I don't want to pick this series right now because I want to do a full, or like give you my thoughts on this series, because I want to do like a full playoff preview before that, and I want to make sure everyone watches that video so that you can get my thoughts on every game, kind of condense it all into one so they're not scattered across multiple videos. But ultimately, I do think that for the Celtics to win this series, it's about impossible. It's going to, Brad Stevens even said it himself. He had a post-game quote where he said, as a basketball fan, I know it's going to be very hard for those guys in Brooklyn to lose. For us to beat them, we're going to have to play perfectly. And that's exactly the case. If the Celtics want to win, they'd have to play perfectly. And even if they played perfectly, I don't know if that's enough. Jayson Tatum can put up 50 every night, but unlike the Wizards, the Nets aren't going to put up 100 points. You are not going to hold the Nets to 100 points, probably any game. I don't see the Nets scoring less than 100 in practically any game in the playoffs. I think they're going to put up an average of like a 115 bomb every single night. And while that tonight the Celtics scoring 118 would have been enough, I also don't think that the Nets are going to give up as many easy opportunities in transition. They're not going to miss as many shots, giving the Celtics opportunities to run in transition. It's going to be tough. The Nets are probably going to win this series, but, you know, shout to the Celtics, shout to Jayson Tatum. I hope we get more heroic efforts from him. Outside of him, I mentioned Kemba Walker, who was great tonight, 29, 7, and 2. Kemba looked like Kemba, and if Kemba plays like that, it makes things like a little bit better for the Celtics. I still don't think it's nearly enough without Jaylen Brown, but it does make things a little more fun for them. Robert Williams went out with an injury too, which really also hurts them badly, because the biggest weakness for the Brooklyn Nets is big men, and Robert Williams is the best center on this team a lot of nights if he's able to play and be healthy, but it looked like he went down with a pretty bad injury. Hopefully he's okay. Fournier tonight was kind of pass first. He had 8.6 rebounds and 4 assists, but he played good basketball, 12 and 12 for Tristan Thompson. This was just the Jayson Tatum show, really. Shout out to him. And on the Wizards side of the ball, the Wizards now have a date against the Indiana Pacers. They've got to be better, much, much better. 20, 14, and 5 for Westbrook, but he was very inefficient. He's got to be better. He looked like he was kind of limping, leaving the court, so hopefully that's nothing serious. Bradley Beal, half this game, was holding his hamstring. The Wizards just look very, very beat up. If they make it into the playoffs, they're going to have to squeak in because they look really, really battered. Davis Bertans took like an elbow to like the shoulder area that he looked like he was in a lot of pain from. I think it was from I think it was Aaron Nesmith, maybe. I'm not sure. Marv Albert called Aaron Nesmith and Marcus Smart each other's names 100 times tonight, and it started to confuse even me. Rui Hachimura played 17 minutes. He had 8 points. Daniel Gafford got in foul trouble, which really killed them, because Gafford is the best center on this roster a lot of nights, and he just didn't have an opportunity to make a great impact when he was fouling so much. 17 and 8 for Ish Smith, also throwing 3 assists. He might have been their best player tonight. Super efficient. He just did everything right. Bradley Beal, 22, 9, and 6. Just him and Russ have to be better, but not even just them. No one on this team looked like they really showed up to play tonight. Like I mentioned, Rui Hachimura, 8 points, 5 from Alex Len, 0 from Raul Neto in 17 minutes, 4 from Davis Bertans. Bertans has been one of the most disappointing players in the entire NBA this season. He just hasn't shown up, and when he does show up, he's one of the best shooters in the league. But that's very, very rare at this point, and they paid him a ton of money. That if Davis Bertans never returns to the form that he had last season, that's an awful contract. So for Wizards fans' sake, I'm hoping that Bertans does end up finding that return to form. They're going to need it against the Pacers because the Pacers looked scary. I know the Pacers have a ton of talent. They just haven't put it together. But if they put it together, the Wizards might bow out early. And I think that would be a really disappointing end to this incredible run for the Wizards. I want to see them make the playoffs. I'm a Russell Westbrook fan, so I apologize, Pacers fans. Again, I'm going to be rooting against your team in this upcoming game. I just want to see my guy, Russell Westbrook, make the playoffs. Bradley Beal, I'm a big fan of his too. But if the Wizards miss it, who knows? Maybe Wizards fans will be blessed and Scott Brooks will end up getting fired. So those are my thoughts on the games. Let me know what you thought of the playing games. I know the first 2 were very bad, but I'm crossing my fingers that tomorrow are really good. I know that Warriors-Lakers, even if it is a blowout, it's going to be super high profile, and everyone's going to be tuning in, me as well. So I'm looking forward to those games. Let me know what you think of these games. Let me know what you think of a Boston-Brooklyn series. Who do you have and in how many games? Who do you have, Wizards or Pacers, in the upcoming Eastern Conference playing game between the 8 and the 9 seed? I will see you guys later. Real one save.